Hi everyone, it's Amy, GablesStitcher, here with my first stitching update video for 2026. I had told myself last year that I really wanted to try to film one Flosstube video a month in 2026. Today is January 29th, so I have 2.5 days left to make good on my goal for January, so let's do it. If you are new to Flosstube, Flosstube is a little corner of YouTube where cross stitchers show their projects. My last video was, I believe, mid-November, where I did a WIP parade. WIP stands for Works in Progress, where I showed all my works in progress. And thank you everybody who watched that. There are a million Flosstubers. There are a million WIP parades. It's a great problem to have so many options of watching people show their fantastic cross-stitch projects. And I am always blown away that people stop to watch mine. And thank you. It's nice to be able to share with you what I'm doing and to be able to chat with people in the comments about it. I really enjoy that. And thank you very much. I had planned to come back and make a video by the end of 2025 to talk about my plans for 2026, which is something I like to do every year. It obviously didn't happen, not this year. My two college kids came home for Christmas break, middle of December. My oldest one has like a 6-week Christmas break and she just left last week. So yeah, it was busy around here. It was a good busy. We had lots of people in the house, lots of family. We had friends, we had boyfriends, we had, gaggles of kids. We had game nights. It was fantastic, but it was not conducive to filming a Flosstube video. And I'm a bit exhausted now. So it was a lot. I'm really, really happy. It was wonderful, but I also kind of welcome it being a little quieter now around here. So definitely a different phase of parenting for me. And now that the house is quiet, let's do a video. Let's show you what I've been up to. And let's talk about what my plans are for 2026. And because I've had 3 weeks now working on my plans, I feel like I have a good feeling about what I think will work and what I need to tweak. So we'll get to that. But let's talk finishes first. I have so much stuff to show you. And I think I'm going to show you my finishes first. And then I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about what my plans are going to be for 2026. And then because most of the things I'm going to show you are going to fit into that. They'll be brief, and then we'll show you the projects. I didn't even count. There's probably 20 things here I'm going to show you. So let's get started. It's a lot. So let's do finishes first. My first finish was in my WIP parade. It is Hello Sheep by Thistle Designs. I love this project. I love sheep. I love Halloween. It's fantastic. This chart was a gift from my friend Julie, who is on Flosstube as Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World. It is Julie's birthday today. Happy birthday, Julie. It's also Bridgerton Day. So if you celebrate either, I happen to celebrate both. It's a good Thursday. So I finished this last year between my WIP parade and the end of the year. And here it is finished. I have not been good about keeping dates, but it is done. This is stitched on a 20 count Aida from Mystic Fabrics. It is called Fossilized. It's one of her fabrics of the month last year. I love how this came out. So cute. So cute. It was a fun stitch. It calls for all fancy floss, all over dyes, mostly weeks, I think. I had a couple. I used the ones I had. Other than that, I just used the DMC equivalent. I think I pulled one color and cotton out of my stash, but it was probably 3 or 4 over dyes and all the rest were DMC. The only thing I changed is you'll notice this is a night scene and my fabric is daytime. So I took the moon and the stars out and I love how it came out. I would love to finish this into a flat fold. Do I know how to make a flat fold? No. But that's one of my goals for 2026 is to learn how to make a flat fold. I am horrible at fully finishing items. Horrible. I actually would like to do a video showing you my under the bed box of fully stitched items that are not finished. I think I probably have, I know I have over 50. I might have 75 to 80 things in it. So if you're interested, let me know. I can drag that out. I actually went through it recently and I was a little bit horrified about how many things are in it. So I really would like to step up my fully finishing game this year, but most of the time I'd rather stitch. That's the problem, right? Anyways, I would like to make that into a flat fold. My second finish was a start and a finish. This is a Merry Gentleman by Plum Street Samplers. This was released end of November, beginning of December. Since my whip parade, I saw it and I had to buy it immediately. I loved it. I love Plum Street Samplers. I love most of her designs. I love Paulette knows how to make a big house. I love stitching a big house. But yeah, I was in the mood to stitch Christmas. So I think it may have been a club kit before it was released, but it was released to the public a couple months ago. So Merry Gentleman. It calls for a mixture of fancy floss and DMC, a lot of fancy floss. I stitched it with all DMC. Not an overdyed among it. I'm going to show you. It is on a literal, show the right direction, a literal scrap of 40 count vintage country mocha. No, I did not iron. And there he is. So it is stitched with one strand of floss over 2 linen threads. And he was so much fun to stitch. One of the reasons I love Paulette's designs is she has a good mixture of counting little things and stitching little things and nice fill-in. So it kind of scratches both of my stitchy itches there. The only change I made is his coat. His chart is tan and I felt like he needed a little bit more red. So I stitched his coat the same color as the Merry banner. So there he is. Fun stitch. Finished that beginning of this year. It's my first 2026 finish. And I would like to make that into a flat fold. Feel free to nag me. Amy, how are those flat folds coming along? Really would like to learn how to make a flat fold and at least fully finish some more of my things. Third finish, it's a big one. I was hoping to finish this one last year. Didn't happen. It's fine. I was hoping to finish at the beginning of January. I didn't. I just finished it a few days ago. There was a lot more stitching in this than I thought I had to finish it. What is it, Amy? Show us. Yes, it is the 2025 Fox and Rabbit Mystery Stitch Along, which is no longer a mystery. I believe it was called Cloister Gardens, and here it is done. It is stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning. It was a brilliant design. I stitched this on a 40 count Fox and Rabbit linen with a hand dyed by Rolanda silk. Rolanda is a dyer out of Canada. You can find her shop on Etsy. It is a navy silk with slight variegation. I'm going to hold it up close so you can see what my nemesis was. These corners, which was December. Lots and lots of intricate backstitch. It is gorgeous. It is stunning. I love it now that it's done, but it is so symmetrical. whew, it was a lot of counting, a lot of placement. So it took me a lot longer than I thought, but it was 100% worth it. So thank you, Brendan and Karen, for a absolutely gorgeous design. I'm going to hold it up close and roll it up so you can see the details. So Fox and Rabbit does a mystery stitch along every year. They have a Facebook group, and you can also find the chart, monthly chart releases on their website. They are very generous with these designs, and they are free for the year. And then at the end of the year in December, they go on their website where you can purchase them. So if you did not get this one, it is still available for purchase on their website. And like I said, they're super generous with their time and talents. I'm going to show you that corner one more time because, yeah, gorgeous. There were a lot. When I showed my husband, he loved it. He's like, you need to frame that one and hang it up. Will 2026 be the year of fully finishing things? Probably not, but I think I need to fully finish more than I've been doing the last few years. So this was my third finish, and it was a big finish. So I was very happy to get it done. I did finish one other thing, and I can't show you. It was a start and a finish. It's a gift. After I give it to the person, I'll show you what it was. But 3 finishes for 2026. Like, who am I? I finished 9 things all of 2025. So it's pretty cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about my plans because everything else I show you kind of fits into that. I have stuff everywhere. I finished 2025 with 34 works in progress, active works in progress. Just fine. Whip count is a very personal thing. We don't talk about the size of a lady's whip count or a gentleman's whip count. You know, very, very personal. For myself, I would like to get my whip count down because of the fact that I don't feel like I get to touch my projects often enough, because when I stitch on a project, I want to stitch on it for a while. So I'm kind of trying to, last year I was like mid-40s. So I've worked my way down. I UFO'd some things. I finished things. I did not start a lot last year. So this year I would like to work myself down to about 24 whips. And one thing, I talked about this a little bit in my whip parade. My planning takes place in a blank journal that I've had for like 10 years. I just flip the page and start over, start the next year. I split my projects up. As I said, I love big whips. I cannot lie. I split them up into smaller whips that are finishable and BAPs that will take a lot of time and effort to finish. And at the end of 2025, I had 19 projects that are finishable, and I had 15 projects that are considered BAPs, big ass projects that take a lot of time to finish. So my goal is to finish 3 of them this year. Is that a lot? Maybe. But one of them was the Fox and Rabbit stitch along, so it's done. I'm already 1/3 of the way to my goal. So 2 of the other projects that I have that I want to finish, let me show you. And we're getting into like what my goals are for the year. One of them is Wicked Christmas. This is by an Italian designer, Sarah. Begins with a G, and I can't pronounce her last name. She does have an Etsy shop, as well as you can get her stuff at your local Nina workshop. I love this project. It is Halloween on the top and Christmas on the bottom. It's big. It's 278 by 263. So I picked this as one of my projects, one of my 3 BAPs that I would like to finish this year. this is going to be my TV project of the year. Our living room where we watch TV as a family has like very poor light. But I've learned I can stitch on Aida out there. So project is on 20 count Aida. And this is where I am. This is 20 count vintage country mocha. It is stitched with all the DMC. This calls for DMC. It's stitched with DMC. And this is where I am. What I have done so far this year is this house here. I have done all that fill-in. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but there's a lot of stitches there. So this has become my TV project, and I'm thinking it probably will be for the whole year. So I'm about halfway done. There's 6 pages in this pattern. I am fully done with 2, and I'm almost done with another 2. So that is that. So I would like this to be one of my back finishes, and it is my TV project this year. And if I need to, I'll stitch on it a little bit more. But it's nice just to pick up and to poke on it a little bit. All right. I didn't plan this very well because I have no place to put my stuff when I'm done. It's a couch here. I'm not throwing things on the floor. The other project I wanted to finish when I'm thinking about what else do I really want to finish this year? I want to finish And They Sinned. And They Sinned is a project that I started in 2021. It was my new year, new start. And I'm going to show you a picture of it. I went to FedEx Copy Center to make a big picture of the chart and of the pattern, of like the photo of the pattern so I could split it up. I brought my husband with me because I always have a hard time with the copy machines there. He's like, it's you. We went and he's like, I can't figure it out. I'm like, see, it wasn't just me. Anyways, this is the pattern. So this is the top part. I have finished the top part. The beginning of January, I was down to here. I do need to still fill in that cloud a little bit. We couldn't get it all on one page. So this is the bottom part of the chart. And what I did is I went through and I split it up for months. And I know that December, I don't get a lot of stitching. November can be iffy too. So I actually split this up into 10 parts because I figure that gives me a little bit of leeway for, you know, if I can't stitch it on in a month, it gives me time to pick up the slack somewhere else and hopefully still get it done. So I really would like to finish this project this year. I'm going to pull it out. I'm not going to take it off the scroll rod, but I'm going to show you what I worked on. Okay, so starting at the end of December, in my whip parade, everything above my hand was done. And then I did all of this, including the berries, in January. So that was one of my January goals. I love the colors on this. So this is a 40 count vintage country mocha. I think I went on my whip parade about how much that's one of my favorite fabrics. And I am stitching it with none of the calls for all over dyes. I went into my stash. If I had it, I pulled it. If not, I'm just using something else. So there we go. My goal for January was to get to the top. It was right here was my goal. It was the berries to here. I know I have a few berries I didn't finish, but because I did underneath here, I'm kind of ahead of next month, and I didn't want to start a new thread. I'll finish that in February. So 1 month in, and we're on target. We'll see how that goes. So those are the 3 that I would really like to finish for 2026. One of them's done. The other two I think are finishable. A third project that I would like to get a good amount of work in is Water Garden Chatelaine. I'm going to reach down so I can grab my iPad to show you a picture of what it's going to look like when it's done. This was a stitch along last year. It was a Facebook group. It's an old chart. And this is what it will look like when it's done. It's a group that split it up into 12 pieces. Did I keep up? No. Otherwise it would be done. I was good through like June. And then I fell off. To be fair, Fox and Rabbit got really big when we hit June. So I had to pick which one I could keep up with. So I chose Fox and Rabbit. I would like to finish this. It's not a goal to finish it, but I would like to work on it every month, a minimum of 500 stitches a month. So I just met my goal yesterday for this one. And I'm not going to take this one out of the key snap because I'm actively working on it. So the whole center portion is done. And yeah, I can take off the bottom one to show you. The whole center portion's done. Isn't that pretty? And I started working on the top. Now you'll notice, you'll say, Amy, like, why are these two different colors? Because I made a mistake. It's supposed to be this color, blue silk, because it's Water Garden, it's water. Yeah, I stitched this on both sides and I was like, that doesn't look right. So I frogged one side. I need to do the other side. So we're going to work on this a little bit more. I met my goal technically for the month, but I don't like to leave mistakes because then I don't like to go back to a project. So we're going to at least rip it out. Maybe stitch on it. This is on a 32 count linen by, oh, what's the name of her shop? Amy Mayberry is the one who has the shop. If I think of it, I'll tell you, but it's a 32 count linen and it is gorgeous. All right. So when you have that many BAPs, what did I say, at 15? I need to work towards ones I want to finish next year or the next couple of years too, right? So I did set some goals for those too. One of them is I set a goal for my full coverage project. I have one full coverage project. It is a Heaven and Earth Designs project, and it is called A Place of Her Own. And there we go. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. Stunning. Stunning. I'm reserving a spot on the wall in this library for it, just so you know. But it's not going to stitch itself. So it's one of my oldest whips. I worked on it initially without Pattern Keeper on paper, and I just didn't enjoy it. Then Pattern Keeper came around, and now I love stitching on it. My goal to finish out 2026 is I want to be at 20% by the end of the year. I started the year at 12%, I think. And no, 13%. And I'm close to 14%. So this is where I am on it right now. Love this project. So it's on a 25 count even weave with the call for DMC. It's just a regular size, regular color, which means it's just the size of a tablecloth and it only calls for 89 colors. But it's not one with extra colors or extra big. So what I stitched on this month, my goal, my number of stitches to hit that benchmark, I'll tell you in a minute. I'll look at it. I made it. It's under 2,000 stitches for the month. And this month, all of this down here is new. I don't have a method for stitching my full coverage other than I kind of go cross country and finish out my thread. I don't park. It's not neat. My backs are horrific. Let me show you. Like, there's lots of floss there. But it works for me and I enjoy it and love it, and that's all that matters. I would recommend getting gridded fabric. I did not know at the time. Next one I do will be ungridded. So that's one of my long-term goals to work on for 2026. I'm going to look and tell you how many stitches I want to get on it. I want to get 1,770 stitches a month on it. And this month I got 2,000. So I really enjoyed stitching on that. Another one of my long-term goals, and this one I'm trying to set up for finish for next year, is Dutch Beauty. This is a big girl. I like big projects. I cannot lie. Big girl. It is, I don't even know what the stitch count is on it. It's huge. Huge. A group of us started this together a couple of years ago. No one's done. One person's getting close to being done. My friend Lynette, she's getting close. She'll probably finish it this year. So this chart's available. Stitch by stitch, this is a very inexpensive chart. It's like a $14 chart on my 2-3 stitch. So the picture is of, I believe that is the stitched, it could be the antique, but it's very pastel-y, and I'm not pastel-y, so calls for all DMC. So what I did is I deepened the colors a little bit. I just went a shade or two deeper on the DMC card, and I'm stitching it on 40 count vintage country mocha. Did you know it's one of my favorite fabrics? And this is where I am. Oops. It's a big piece. Here we go. So what I have stitched this month is this part here, the flowers. There's a lot of stitches in there. It's like almost one page of the chart. The chart's 21 pages. I would like to make it to 30% this year, so it's 7 pages. And that flower vase was almost 1 page. Actually, I didn't even stitch the vase, just the flowers. But I love the colors. And that's one of the things I changed. So I used the same palette. I just kind of changed the colors because it's very white and yellow, and I wanted more pinks. So I used the pinks that I pulled. I added no more colors. I just saturated a little bit more. This is on a fat half of 40 count linen. I mean, it's another bed sheet, and it pretty much fills it. So this is a lot of fun to stitch. A lot of fun. I will enjoy getting this to 30% this year. Did not want to put it away. So I plan on working on this every month. There's also a lot of areas of fill-in on this one as well. So typically what I do when I'm going to a retreat, I have fill-in areas and then I fill them in while I'm at the retreat. So it's a good way to get stitches without worrying about having a frog. All right. Last project I want to get for a finish is buried. So we'll hit that after. This is not a super organized video, but we're here and we're seeing lots of stitching, so it's all good. All right, so let's go into the pile. I had one other start at the end. No, I had 2 other starts. This is one of them. I had 2 starts, more Christmas starts at the end of 2025. While I did not have a lot of stitching time in December, I managed to start some Christmas things. I was looking through my whips. I didn't really have Christmas projects. So I needed to start a few. So Mary started that. Here's another Merry Mary. It's a Merry Mary December. This is a Stacy Nash Designs pin keep. Yeah, it's Merry Mary pin keep. Stacy Nash pin keeps are like pin keeps for the Jolly Green Giant. They're huge, just so you know. So I picked this up in November at the Threaded Needle in Grafton, Mass. I went there with my friend Lynette. I saw it. I'm like, I gotta stitch that. It just calls for DMC, so I am stitching it just with DMC. And I'm not going to take it out of the Q-snap because you can really see what I've stitched in the Q-snap. So there we go. Fun stitch. I did stitch the border all the way around. And one thing I do is when I'm stitching the border, get my face out of the way so it'll focus, I'll stitch half stitches and cross every 10th stitch. I do that whenever I'm stitching a long line, because then that enabled me, like I lined it up with the grid in the chart, so it enables me so I can jump and do different parts. Like I'm not stuck working the top way down. And the board is done. I know it meets up and I know I counted correctly. So done. I'm big into eating my greens when it comes to borders and then doing the fun stuff in the middle. So that's that. That was fun. This is a 40 count collar and cotton. I have no idea what color. It's an 1/8 I picked up somewhere. I will warn you, there are some charting errors in this chart. So that garland at the top in some areas is charted with the wrong color. Most people would probably realize it before they stitched it. I did not, so I had to pull it. But just be kind of a little aware that there are a couple of charting errors on that chart. This does not fit into my plans, except I would like to stitch it. Kind of how I feel about everything. I want to stitch it, which is why I feel like I need fewer whips, so I can stitch on them all. Okay. Oops. Last start of 2025, and this one does fit into my plans. So I love the 12 Days of Christmas. Anything 12 Days of Christmas, I love. I also love Christmas stitching that does not have traditional Christmas colors. I stitched the Satsuma Street 12 Days of Christmas, which has all these bright colors on it. Love it. I saw this. It was in one of the cross stitcher magazines. I think it was one of the Christmas ones from last year. I have a digital copy. This is Stitcherovia, and it's 12 Days of Christmas. And I love this. 12 Days of Christmas and non-traditional Christmas colors. Yes, please. So I started this last year in December. And I am stitching this on a 32 count white even weave. It's a Lugana, and here I am. So I actually started in the middle on this one. I typically am a top left starter, but I started on day 1, and like right around here was the middle of the chart. So that was a big tree. That partridge is living in a big pear tree. And then I was thinking, this could be a good self-stitch long, right? 12 Days of Christmas, 12 months of the year. Remember what I said about December? December's never a given for me. So I actually stitched day 1 and day 2 in December because I was having so much fun with this. And I put down for my goals that I would like to stitch a day a month. I have 10 months left. Perfect. So January, I stitched the ring. And then I wanted to go over to stitch on the 12 Days of Christmas because I wasn't quite done with this. I wanted to stitch it a little bit more after I stitched the ring. So that's another one. I did that to enable my counting the bird. And then I moved over and stitched that. So my plan for this, my goal is to stitch 1 day a month. So it's done by next year. It's not a huge stitch. I mean, as you can see, the piece of fabric isn't very big, but it's done stitching. And it calls for DMC, and I'm just using all the DMC it calls for. All right. Next pile. One of the only, like, I don't want to say rigid because it's not. One of the things that I was like, I wanted to do for 2026 is I really wanted to touch all my whips because I can go years, I can go decades without touching projects. So one of the ways I thought I could do to help me touch all my projects is to do temperature stitching. A lot of people have been doing it in Flosstube the last couple of years, where you take the last digit of the high temperature or low temperature and you assign it a project. And whatever the digit is that day, whatever the project is, you put 100 stitches on it or a strand of floss or stitch for 30 minutes, whatever you want to do just to move it along. I did that for a little bit last year. I actually did it through like April. I wasn't filming at the time, but I did it through April and I got some good progress on some projects. So I wanted to try it again this year. January, I wouldn't say I failed a little bit because I still have 2.5 days to catch up. I got through half of the month and then Fox and Rabbit, which is fine. It's done. So I split it up into 5 projects because I figured this was a way that I think I can hit a lot of my projects, because if I rotate them in for a month or 2, I'll touch them. So I picked 5 categories. Each one gets 2 temperatures. My first category is problem child. We all have a problem child whip. A whip that just doesn't, something about it. You want it done, but it's not your favorite to work on. I have more than one problem child. I can only work on one problem child at a time because I've decided that's my limit. So 2 of my temperatures are problem children. Well, 1 problem child, but it gets 2 temperatures. Focus on a finish, because you have those projects that are almost at a finish. You can work on it a little bit more. Maybe you can get it there. I have 3 or 4 monochromatic designs. I love monochromatic designs. So that got 2 temperatures. And then I picked one of my finishable choices. Remember, I have my split of BAPs, which is a bunch of them is getting focus time every month. And then I have other projects that are finishable if I just worked on them, because they're smaller than a BAP. And then I put in BAP of choice. So 5 projects, 2 temperatures each. That hits 0 to 9. It's kind of funny how some things were called this month. Like I haven't stitched them all, but my focus on a finish, which is pretty close, only got called once. So we're going to reevaluate, but it's fine. We'll just, it was something to try and see how it goes. Okay, so let's go over those projects in my stitching. The problem child. Let's talk about the problem child first. If you've watched me at all, you probably know this is my problem child. Halloween Quaker. Not because I don't love the project. I love the project. I hate the fabric I'm stitching it on. So that's why it's a problem child. Last year, from January to April, when I was doing temperature stitching, I had this in there and I got over 4,000 stitches on it. I really moved it along. So that's what spurred me to kind of do it this year. So I don't know how many, it got called a lot this month. I don't know how many I've put in so far. I'd have to check, and we're not going to do that. I'm using all the called for this, which is mostly Classic Colorworks, I believe. And here is where I am. I mean, it looks fantastic. I just have a really hard time stitching on this fabric. It is a 40 count Murky, which is the called for. Picture this plus. It is very tight and the colors play tricks on my eyes. So last year I did all of this. Pretty good for just 100 stitches here and there, right? So this year, what I've done so far is not a lot. I've worked down here. I've done the heart, the boot, the cat, and that little swirly under the cat. So I started last night There's a ghost above the cat, so that's next. If I don't get all the stitches done this month, I might carry them over and see how I feel about it in February. I'm very loose with my stitching plans, because for me, I just want to stitch. I just try different things so I can hit more projects, so, and reach my goals. But if it's not working, I just stitch. Okay, so my focus on a finish, now that we got the problem child out of the way, my focus on a finish is Lizzie Kate, Eek Boo Hiss. I have stitched on this since my whip parade. At my whip parade, just the center was done. And then when I started stitching on the rest of it, I'm like, I should have cut out the center and considered it done, but I didn't. So I started color completing for the other two. So everything you see on here, I have not touched it yet this year. This is from 2025. But this is my project that's closest to a finish. So I think what I might try to do in February is whatever's closest to a finish is going to get like 500 stitches. Or a couple of nights of stitching. Because I think that will finish this and move things along. The Fox and Rabbit did take more of my stitching time than I thought it would in January, so just fine. But this wasn't called either on the temperatures. All right, like I said, I have monochromatic sampler of choice. I think I have 3. I figured that way, if I'm rotating through, I touch each one 4 times during the year. So even if it gets just a few hundred stitches 4 times a year, that's great. So the first one I put in was Veerland sampler. Picture's lousy, I'm sorry. It is a printout from Sampler Antique magazine, which is no longer in print, but you can find digital issues, I think, through Annie's. I have the DVDs that they used to sell. I don't know if they still sell them anymore. The CD-ROMs that go in the computer. So I really enjoyed stitching on this when I pulled it out. This is stitched on Vintage Country Mocha, 40 count. It's another bed sheet. Like, it's going to take up that whole piece of fabric. Stitching it with DMC 310. Nothing fancy. So what I stitched, this is what I stitched, I believe, this month right here, these 3 little motifs. I didn't want to put it down. For me, there's something so therapeutic just stitching with one color floss. I know a lot of people get very bored with it. I mean, if it was all I did, I would get bored with it, but I enjoy it when I do stitch with it. All right, finishable of choice. I chose At Home by Brenda Gervais. I love this chart. When I pulled it out for my whip parade, I was like, I want to stitch on it. I did. This is what I stitched on right after I finished a whip parade. So really, really pretty. Much prettier than this picture. I'm stitching with some of the called for. I pulled a lot of color and cotton for my stash instead of, it calls for, I think, all fancy floss. So I used the fancy floss I had. I may have bought 1 or 2, and then I pulled out color and cotton from my stash. And I am changing the house color on this. So I love this sampler, but to me it was very one tone. And I love a red brick house. So I'm not pulling it out of the Q-snap, but I have it so you can see it. So this is, of course, I don't know how I'm going to hold it. Here we go. So I had the border was complete. Like I said, I like to eat my greens. The border was complete the outline of it before I started it. And since you saw it in the Whip Parade, I did all of this. I may have done that too. I can't remember. There we go. So I'm making my house red. And I wanted to get in both colors of bricks, and I really am liking how it's looking. So really, really pretty. I think it just brightens it up. Makes it less one tone to me. I would love to finish this year. We'll see. I mean, I would like to, I'm more concerned about meeting my other big goals. Like, I'd rather finished and they sinned than at home, but I would like to finish at home too. I think it's doable. All right. And the last project in that temperature stitching that also fits into my yearly goals, long-term goals, is peacock, unicorn, a unicorn, and a badger. Scarlet letter. So many people stitching this. Love this. Like, if you're thinking about stitching this project, stitch it. It's amazing. Just so relaxing. I'm stitching it with the DMC. Just charted with silks. DMC. And I'm stitching it on a 40 count mallow linen, which is, it's a blend. It's not a pure linen. It's, what do you call it? It's a linen and something else. I don't remember what it is, but it's a very even, it's almost like an even weave. There aren't a lot of slubs. It's very tight. It is perfect for one strand of floss over 2 linen threads. And here is where I am. I love stitching on this. Oh, love it, love it, love it. So I stitched up here. I did the bird outline. I did some more at the top. I did that leaf below the bird. I would like to get this to 50% this year. I'm about at 25%. So I would like to get another 25% because I think if I get this at 50%, I can set this up for a finish next year. This and Dutch Beauty would like to be 2027 finishes. So here we go. Every time I stitch on this, I just stitch on this forever and not put it down. And the way that I am doing this is I outline at home. And then when I'm at a stitch night or retreat or Zooming with some stitch friends, I fill in. And once again, I find that very relaxing. So those are all my whips. I have one thing I'm starting today. Let me go grab it. It's for my friend Julie, Kansas City Girl in Cauliflower World's birthday. So something she picked. And I have another thing I'm starting probably beginning of February. So let me go grab that. Told you I'm not editing today. Because if I need to edit, it's just not gonna, I'm not gonna film right now because right now I'd rather be stitching, but I want to film too. So this is my compromise. I'm not editing. All right, so Julie, for her birthday, picked I Like Cross Stitch to stitch. It is from Jet X Stitch. They are on Etsy, and like, who doesn't love a Quaker? I love a Quaker. And this is just so cute. Like, the more I look at it, because it's just like, has all the things that we have stitched and cross stitched. Like, there's the geese. We've all stitched teddy bears. This is the heart and hand. Like, love it. So, birthday's today. It's not too late to join in. I'll put her Instagram and channel down below. Link her. So I am stitching it on, or I plan to stitch it on. I haven't started yet, obviously. So we'll see how it goes. A 25 count Lugana by Mystic Fabrics in Unusual. And I don't know if this is going to show up. All right, let's just floss. It's very peachy. It's blown out. Let me pull it back. That's better. So I'm going to stitch it 1 over 1 on 25 count. And it calls for all DMC and 1 threadworks. So I pulled the DMC and I went through my fancy floss, and because I wanted to make it fancy. And these are the colors I'm going to use. I don't have the threadworks, so this is what would be for the threadworks. Hold on, this light blue. So I picked another variegated blue. And I didn't really have a great orange, so I went to Stitch New England and I picked up Week Sunset. So those are the colors I'm going to use. And it is a mix of Color and Cotton, Victorian Model Floss. I have a Nina's thread and 1 Weeks. So I think that will be fun. And after I finish filming this, I'm going to start it. So you can see it in my next video. All right, and one last thing, if you're still here with me, I have one other project I plan on starting in February. I'm really going to try not to start too many big projects this year because I want to get that BAP category down. I'm going to start this, borrowing this chart from a friend who I'm seeing in April. So I want to finish it before I see her. This is a Brenda Gervais. It's perfect for winter. I mean, it's really Christmas, but little snowman. Yeah, I guess there's a Christmas tree on there. Winter berries and pine. So I think I'll stitch it on a blue fabric. I'll go dig into my stash and just find a blue. And it calls for mostly fancy. I'm using 1 fancy. I'm going to use grits, which is a slightly variegated white. I mean, how much can you variegate white? It's slightly variegated, and that will be the snowman. But other than that, I'm going to use the DMC equivalent. So that is it. That is my stitching for the last 8 to 10 weeks. And what I plan on working on. So a lot of the same. I think I'm going to try to rotate in February another, I haven't decided. I might rotate in another different monochromatic. I might rotate in another finishable, and I might rotate in another BAP. Like those I plan on rotating, but I'm going to keep on working on my problem child till that girl's done, because if I take her out of my rotation, I will never go back to it. So I would love to finish my problem child this year. But let's not tell it it's a problem child. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching and commenting and liking and all that, and for coming back. Thank you. I really appreciate you, and I hope that you are safe, and I hope that you are finding joy and solace and peace in your stitching. Have a great one, everybody, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.